I can hear you. Can you hear me?
You can hear me? Can you see me?
I can hear you. Oh, and I can see you too. Yay!
How are you?
There you are. I'm great. And so I'm like, to hat or to not hat?
I know. I'm like, should I have braided my hair?
No, it's super cute. You look adorable.
Oh, thank you. So do you.
Yeah. This is Kaz Weirdness, aka Kaz Witness, with another professional illustrator interview. Yay! Joining us from Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada, by way of El Salvador, I'd like to extend a special weirdness welcome to Karla Monterrosa. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. This is very exciting.
I'm so glad that you agreed to do the interview. So I noticed on your bio, you said, I'm constantly chasing the happy medium between this gave me a panic attack and oh my God, this is so funny. So you're basically my interview soulmate. And I will definitely make you feel at home with the awkward. So yay. Yeah, awesome.
Anything that's embarrassing, anything that's awkward, anything that's a mortifying experience.
Just lick a waffle for a minute. It's fine. Yeah. It's normal. This is normal.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to mention to our viewers, you have to check out Karla's website, karlamonterrosa.com. I'm going to put it on the screen for everybody. And just maybe don't look at it while you're at the work or while the kiddies are around. Your work is provocative. It's a joy bomb. There's a lot of feminism in there. And I think the first animation that pops up on screen is these two adorable shirtless women basically not socially distancing.
Not socially distancing at all. Yeah. Even though it was made in 2020.
What? Oh, yeah. Well, I love it. Love it, love it, love it. So I especially wanted to talk to you because I haven't yet interviewed a storyboard or animation illustrator, but you do a lot of things besides that. You do editorial, you do design work. What would you say, just for you, like what is your main focus or interest, or specifically, what are you working on currently?
I think the word that I try to use or the words that I use to try to explain what I focus on are that I'm an animation filmmaker who does illustrations.
Oh, yeah. That makes total sense.
Yeah, and I don't have a big preference for any particular form of like image making. As long as I get to do an illustration, I'm pretty happy figuring out how that fits into different spaces. Mm-hmm. And that has been editorial, that has been personal work, that has been animation, that has been, that has been more like surface things or interactive.
I noticed that you had some stuff on your website that looked like art licensing, surface design.
I've done surfacing. I've done mostly for like personal things. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I'm very happy just to make images, and then with animation, that's it's you have so much control over where the images are going because it takes a lot of time and it takes a lot of work, but you get to tell the whole story of what you're doing with these images.
Right. It's not just one single image that has to encapsulate a full idea. It's something that's narrative and progressive and
absolutely
story arc.
You can follow this image and you can follow it from the beginning of, things start out like this, but I specifically need you to know that this is the progression of things.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're also a writer too, because you're telling stories with images, but you're also conceiving of what the story is and how. So I haven't talked to the storyboard artists before. Like, how does that work for you? Do you draw it out and then you have like little notes, like this happens in this scene? So what is the process of storyboarding like for you?
For my own films, I definitely really like starting strong with a script. Mm-hmm. And that's where I try to do most of my problem solving in the script, in the writing out what's going to happen, and then figuring out how that's going to translate into images.
So it starts with the written word for you. Are you drawing as this is happening too, or is it really important for you?
Rarely. I'm a planner.
Uh-huh.
I'm a planner, so I'll start with a script, and until that script is like done, if I have to figure out something visually, I'll try to sketch it out.
Mm-hmm.
But I really like starting with just the words, and then I immediately jump onto like an Excel spreadsheet.
Right.
Of
So,
what elements do I need for each scene.
so you're really a plotter. I mean, in writing, they talk about plotter versus pantser, and you're someone that wants to know this is this inciting moment, and this is the building, tension, and this is the climax. Would you say you're that kind of writer where the planning is important, or?
Yeah, absolutely. And like, not to brag or to toot my own horn, but
No,
in high
please.
school, I was very cool, and I did competitive Microsoft Office.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
It was a thing in El Salvador. Office. And I went to nationals. So
wow! Oh my God! Well, congratulations!
Proud.
I'm in the presence of greatness. I use Excel, but I don't like. How does it? Why is it taking me up into this screen? And if I copy this, why is it paste? And like, I'm not there. No competition here. Like, I know the programs exist. I know how to open them. And so that has really benefited you as a writer and an animator because you know how to organize. You have the tool.
And in my day job, I work in an animation studio. So I know that it's effective. I know that that's like a well-managed calendar gets things done.
Especially when you're working with a team, I would imagine, because different people are working in different aspects, and you got to know who's doing what and when and all that.
Yeah. So when you're the whole production team, it's good to keep. It's a fantastic idea to keep yourself accountable and to know what your responsibilities are at each stage when you're working on an independent film. If you're producing, if you're producing, you're making your backgrounds, you're doing your storyboard, you're responsible for all this. And I think the key to success to working in animation is to remember that there's always someone who's going to touch something ahead. Like whatever background you're making, whatever animation you're making, someone will have to deal with it after you.
Oh, so you want to be accountable to them too and not leave them with the mess.
Yeah, so when like personal independent filmmaking, you have to be accountable to yourself. And remember that if you're lazy about the way you're animating something and about the way you're making a background, you're only making things harder for you in the future.
Well, I think that, I don't really, I work in smaller teams in publishing, but like, I'm in awe with animated film, and I know people that work in the industry, and just like the things you aren't even considering as you're just enjoying the experience of the film, like so much time and work and effort and communication and fixing and tweaking and all the stuff. Like it's got to be mind-blowing to keep track of. Like, so do you have you've mentioned Excel or spreadsheets? Are there other ways that you keep track of how do you organize your thinking? Do you have programs that you like to use for that, or tech sheets, or?
I keep a physical calendar in a Google Calendar account, and I have a planner and a Google Calendar account. And I, at the beginning of, in theory, now with like being at home all day and COVID and everything, I don't have a routine anymore. That has been the hardest part of everything.
Oh gosh, yeah.
But traditionally, when my life is more in order, then I try to make sure at the beginning of my day that my Google Calendar and my planner match each other.
Match up. Yeah, that's smart. Yeah, and how has that been for you transitioning over? I mean, I tend to work more hours now because I'm like, just get up in the morning, get on the computer, and then 11 o'clock at night, I'm like, oh, I guess I'm done now.
Yeah. Well, it's now things in my planner are not seeing friends. They're go for a walk.
Oh yeah,
And
totally.
it's like, oh, well, that didn't happen today. So I guess I'll just postpone until like 2 weeks from
Right.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. I've had like each day is different from the other. I've had days where, I work like 16, 18 hours and I don't really notice or I don't really think about it.
Hmm.
And then I have days where nothing gets done and nothing could have gotten done even if I had
Yeah.
really tried.
Yeah. Yeah. I always think like, well, today was not the day. Today,
Yeah.
there's always tomorrow, but today was not the day. And I think
Yeah.
there's just like that self-care element and also how the brain is operating under unusual and extreme circumstances.
Mhm.
I think we have to give ourselves a break. We're still getting our stuff done, but this is not normal. This is not normal times, and safety
Yeah.
first, right?
Safety
Um,
first. Of
and then
course.
like mental health safety as well, like
Yeah.
self-care. So I wanted to ask you, for fledgling illustrators looking to break into storyboarding or
Ooh.
the animation world, what are some tips you have for them? What's the market like now? Is there any advice that you would give the newbie?
Well, I think there's like different stages of being a newbie. There's from being in school. I would say I and this is something that I heard a lot when I was in animation school. Just like keep life drawing, but it's like keep life drawing.
Hmm.
That's more than teaching you how to draw. That's really teaching you how to see and where to look. And
Great advice.
and figuring it helps you figure things out quick. Uh, like doing especially like the gesture sessions.
Mm-hmm.
That I feel like as I don't want to say as adults, but as grown-ups working
Yeah.
in professional illustration and animation, we don't do that enough. We don't have like this huge
Yeah.
luxury. Now it feels like such a rich luxury to have access to life drawing.
Right.
Yeah, and some people are great at it. I'm not. Some people are great
Yeah,
at
I
it.
have to. I love it when I do it, but like just to put
Yeah,
it on my calendar is, she's like, no, why would I? I draw cartoony stuff. Like, why do I need to do life?
absolutely. Yeah,
And then I'm
absolutely.
so inspired, and my brain just like processing how that shadow is turning, or how the back muscles are integrating into the spine. It's like things that make your brain do gooder, like, and your art do
Yeah.
better.
Yeah, actually, if the I draw cartoony. So when I'm life drawing,
Mm.
I'm like, well, what's the point? I don't draw
Right.
realistic anyway.
Right.
But then what you're doing when you're drawing cartoons, you're drawing life. You're
Yeah.
exaggerating life. So
Right.
it's important.
Well, and I
Yeah.
think just that the honesty, the truthiness of drawing something that's inspired by life. I mean, isn't that why we connect to animation or connect to
Mhm.
storytelling? Is it's telling us something about our, now I'm getting philosophical, but telling us something about what it's like to be a person on this planet and having a life experience and having relationships and interacting with our world. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's brilliant advice.
Yeah. I work for Titmouse, which is an animation studio, and I'm very fortunate that I work on a lot of projects that I find very interesting and that I get to be a part of. Things that I get to talk about later to my things that my family understands. Well, like the
Yeah.
illustration part, I don't know that they'll like fully know what that is.
Right.
But I at one point had it something to do with this cartoon that's on Netflix. So
They get that. Oh,
yeah.
that is so exciting. I mean, I know a lot of stuff is like in under wraps. You can't really talk about. Is there something you can talk about that you either worked on, or is public that you can talk about?
Oh, yeah, well, the last show that I worked on that's aired and aired.
Hmm.
I don't know if it's aired, if it's on Netflix. Aired. I'm gonna say aired.
Yeah, I'll
Was
go with Eric.
yeah, Archibald's Next Big Thing on Netflix. It's a
Oh
big,
yeah. Hey.
based on a picture book. Yeah, I had a really nice time with working with a team on that. Yeah.
And so what was kind of your piece of that? Like what?
Oh, so for my job in animation, I would do compositing, which is a more technical side of animation, it has more to do with the like putting the animation and the backgrounds and the special effects together. and it has more to do with like visual effects than with the like drawing part of animation.
And do you like that just as much as drawing, or
I
just
like
drawing
that.
characters? And
Yeah, I like that it's so different from my illustration and my personal animation practice. I like that they're so separate, that they're just different parts of my brain working separately. I don't really. I know that for a lot of folks who work in animation, they're very tired of drawing when they come home,
yeah, oh
and that's
sure.
not something that I have to deal with.
Yeah,
I get
you come home and you still have like meat on the bone, energy in your energy available to draw. I would hope.
yeah, no, and it feels so different. That it feels, it's freeing, it's still fun, and I haven't been like working that repetitive motion in my hand and my
Yeah,
wrists all day.
totally. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
so
absolutely.
so I
Oh,
actually really like it.
so you know, thinking about, you know, just because there are so many aspects to animation, you don't just
Mhm.
have to be, because I think so many of my students are like, I have to be the character designer. I just
Right.
want to draw the characters, and that's like, you know, but there's so many other aspects of that that mean that you're contributing in an artistic way to this final product that's just amazing. And you can also have your side time to do your personal projects and design your own characters and do your own fun things.
Yeah. I think like at the end of the day, like your professional life will not always be a reflection of who you are as a person, and it has very little to do with your self worth.
Yeah,
So
right.
yeah, I think at the beginning you take it very personally, whether you land the jobs or whether you're doing well for animation. We do tests.
Mm-hmm.
So if you pass the test to work at the studios, and that's not something that's going to follow you for a long time. It's once you start working, which you will.
Ah,
Once you start working, and that's something like very important to remember, that once you start working,
ah,
you will, and
well,
that's not going to follow you forever. I have done other types of work in animation. I've done background painting and design and storyboards, and I have done builds, and it's in that way it's an industry that really lends itself for allowing you to use different parts of your brain and allowing you to learn different types of software. If you're committed to like a specific practice, for example, animation, filmmaking, and illustration, then it is nice that your day job allows you to have all these other different things you can do.
ah, that's great advice. And now I'm sold. I'm like, I want to do this now. Because I know for me, like growing is an important aspect of that. And
Yeah.
even just like trying to figure out, you know, how to edit videos, that's like been a whole new thing that I had to jump in, figure out how, oh, that's interesting. And it makes me understand other types of art making in a way that I didn't before, because I don't know what it's like to have to clip things for hours and hours and hours. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's a thing, and I'm not even doing it well.
No, you're doing
uh,
great.
yeah. Oh, that's great advice. Now you talked about, you know, doing the test. Like, maybe as one of our last questions here is like, what would you recommend for people that want to break in? Like, how did you get your break?
Mhm.
Do you have any just advice or encouragement for people that are just starting out?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you're trying to break in, you normally the people you go to school with are the people that you will see at work throughout many jobs. You'll keep seeing them for a long time. So you don't have to be best friends with everyone, but it's really nice to be someone that people like and that people trust, and to have a reputation for being someone who's trustworthy and someone who can meet deadlines and someone who is nice to people and someone who's nice to work with. Even with how big Canada and the US are, animation is so
That's
small.
small. Everybody's talking to each other. It's absolutely
Everybody's
true.
talking to each other, yeah. So, and not forgetting that just because it might be a job that's fun for you, it's still, you owe a level of professionalism to everyone. It's a real job, and I think part of a lot of a lot of society, or mainstream society, not
Right.
treating not treating the arts like a real thing, has to do with not treating each other like we're like real professional adults who will have to go into wage negotiations and contract negotiations, and who are writing their own contracts for freelance.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, remembering that it is a profession, and you have to be
absolutely
professional.
And great, notice to students, because I think a lot of them are like, oh yeah, when I start out, then I'll start like turning things in on time, and then I'll start like speaking or typing professionally, communication. And I'm like, you want to go into children's book, right? I am in children's book, right? And the way you're treating your instructor right now is not very respectful. I'm not saying that you're, you're not demonstrating things that I would say, hey, check out this person's work, or if somebody asked me about somebody, it would be really hard for me. I wouldn't say anything negative about anybody, but I'd be like, yeah, that's an idea.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of the freelance work, and a lot of a lot of freelance work, and like picture book and editorial work that I get now has to do with teachers I had in university, or or people I've worked with. A lot of it is word of mouth. I get a lot of my work just through word of mouth, because they heard that I turned things in on time.
Just that one little detail.
And that I reply to emails, and that I'm really nice.
Yeah.
And that's
absolutely that reputation. And I've heard it said too, it's like editors, or art directors, would you rather work with someone that's like incredibly like the most talented illustrator in the whole world, or do you want to work with somebody that's nice to work with? They want to work with somebody that's nice to work with. They can help you get to be a better artist. They can help you with that stuff, but they can't help you with a bad attitude. Like,
absolutely, especially like in editorial, the turnaround times.
Oh God, yeah.
The turnaround times in editorial are violent. Like and
if you mess that up, you mess up a whole string of people that just have to scramble. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it helps to be really nice, or as nice as you can.
Right.
And then something else for breaking in would be like I got my first job in animation because my friend and I were doing the test together, and then he got the job and I didn't.
Oh wow.
And then like months later, he recommended me for another job.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I
so it felt like a no, but it actually wasn't a no. It was something that was leading to something else.
Yeah. So and after that, I got most of my jobs in animation from having worked with someone and then them recommending me. And part of this whole thing of like having a nice reputation and being nice to people has to do also with solidarity with your fellow workers. That you have to remember that if you see someone being actively mistreated, or if you find out that they're getting paid a lot less than the rest of the team for doing the same amount of work, it helps to be honest with them and be like, I'm, this production manager is not being fair to you because of these things. Like, or, during meetings, I can see that your ideas are not being taken into consideration. I can see that this person is using an inappropriate tone with you. As that advocacy. We have to look out for each other.
And it's I noticed that when I was in art school, like some people were really in competition with each other, but for the most of us, I'm like, we're in this together. Like, we're making each other better by like being, he's so good, and I just want to draw like him. But like, I'm rooting for him. I want him to do good, and that always comes around. Like we're here to just raise the water for everybody.
Yeah, totally. There's no, I don't know, like talent is not a finite resource.
Yes.
And there is so much work.
I love that.
Yeah. If that's like something that I could get across to, like, I don't know, young
Listen up.
so much work. Yeah, there is so much work, and
Oh gosh, that's awesome. That makes me feel
yeah,
so
and there
good.
would be
And that
like
makes
dry,
me,
yeah, there
oh,
would be like very dry seasons, right?
right, sure.
Yeah, there will be
Yeah,
very dry seasons. But then there'll be seasons where you're like, I don't want to do all these jobs. I have too
right.
many already, and I like them all
And
so
then I get to
much.
pick and choose. Yeah. Well, and I think
Yeah.
that's one nice thing about being, a diverse artist. Like, I always find some ways to make money, like I do this kind
Yeah.
of illustration or do this kind of work, or right now I'm writing classes, like, because I'm very interested in a lot of different things. And sometimes that makes my brain scrambled, but that means that I always have work. I never don't have work. I'm never like sitting around going, oh gosh, I wish I had something to do. It does not happen. You moved. I don't know if you heard me. Oh, it says my internet connection is unstable. Well, so am I. Oh, are you there? Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh,
Hi.
hi. I'm so sorry. My internet
No
turned
way.
off. We're just
Oh,
back at 1,000. We're doing good, but I think we caught most everything there. So I only had one more. Oh, wait, hold on. No, it's still recording. Oh, you were probably there, like.
just like looking at my phone, messaging you. Yeah.
Oh, so I just this was amazing. I learned so much from you,
Thank you
Karla.
so much. I feel like,
So I just have one
yeah.
last question for you.
Yes.
So I like to say I'm like a waffle. I'm like sweet and funky and weird. And if you were to describe yourself as a food, I know I'm putting you on the spot, but your personality or yourself as a food, what do you think that food might be?
Okay, I love this question.
Okay, good.
I love this question so much. Right, so you're a waffle, so that's like, you're like made to catch all the sweet.
All
Like
the
you
sweetness.
specifically have all these ridges to catch all the syrup.
Yeah, because I'm considerate like that.
Yeah. Am I rice?
Are you rice?
Am I rice? Just
If
because
you're
like I
rice,
can go
you're like
with
super
anything?
delicious rice. Like rice
Yeah,
with
I'm just like ready to go with anything, very go with the flow.
ooh.
Like, like some days it can be boring, some days it can be like a bit much.
Mmm.
But
Well,
like I'm good with fried chicken, I'm good with vegetables, I'm good.
you're good with all different types of food. Like who doesn't like rice? And there's different kinds of rice too. There's like jasmine rice, long grain rice, brown rice, like all the rice.
Yeah. Am I rice? I mean, I think that's what I want to be right now. Yeah.
You have the option to change your mind about this,
No,
but
I'll come in. I'll make this choice. I'll come in.
well, you're selling me on the rice though. I was worried there for a second because usually when you say you're rice.
Yeah, you can make rice flour.
Rice pudding! I freaking love rice pudding.
Yeah, so versatile. Can do a bunch of things. Good at most of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, bad at a bunch. Yeah.
Well, I've never heard rice before, and I freaking love it.
Thank you.
Sold.
Great.
This has just been fantastic, and thank you so much for coming on and sharing your insights with us. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. This was so much easier than I thought it was going to be.
Oh, good.
Yeah, that's cool. It's very cool.
Well, I super enjoyed meeting you. You're awesome, and I'm a huge, huge fan. Oh, I should ask you. Oh, okay. One more thing. So besides your website, where can we find you online? Are you on social media? Like, where's your stuff at? Is there anything you'd like to promote?
Yeah, my Instagram is at Karla Mont. So my first name, Montz. Very too active on Instagram. I think there's a whole thing right now of like artists have to act like celebrities or be celebrities and like be everywhere and at all times, and that's exhausting.
Really?
Yeah, it's exhausting, but it helps too. It helps to like, get people to follow you and things, but most of my work is on Instagram, or most of my internet activity is on Instagram.
Perfect.
Yeah, I do a podcast with my
Oh,
two.
you do?
Yeah.
What's your podcast?
My podcast, so the letters QTYN.
Okay.
Yeah. So my two roommates are also artists and illustrators. And we talk about the internet, and we are always end up talking about art and illustration.
Oh gosh, I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm definitely going to follow that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Awesome. Very cool. So I think those were actually my last questions for you.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that I got to meet you like face to face.
It was so nice. It was so nice.
This is what I look like with some facial work done.